Dark Deity 2 is on the way, and we recently received a brand new trailer showcasing a lot of the game's new footage, gameplay, mechanics, etc. So today, we're going to talk about what that means and how good Dark Deity 2 is looking, because it is. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, as I always say, if you enjoy my content, my coverage of turn-based strategy RPGs, upcoming games, or the gaming sphere in general, a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. If you were not aware, Dark Deity 2 is well on its way to completion. Its development seems like it is going very, very well, and I'm extremely excited to see what the devs have done with it. Dark Deity 1 was one of my favorite releases of 2021, an extremely strong indie take on Fire Emblem that still did its own things that made it a blast to play. I personally loved it. I thought it was a very strong first entry from a fledgling studio, though it did get a lot of criticism from other Fire Emblem fans and game players in general, which surprised me. A little rough around the edges, sure, but you can't go in expecting a first project from an indie team to match up to a series with 30 years of legacy behind it. We have to temper your expectations here. That said, Dark Deity 2 looks like they've learned a lot and are applying a lot of those lessons, both just in their own dev experience and feedback from the community. We're going to go through here in no particular order and talk about some of the things that I've noticed from this trailer and my thoughts on it. If you have any particular thoughts about what we're seeing here, anything that I say, or maybe something that you catch in the trailer that I don't point out, let me know in the comments, strike up a conversation. I would love to be able to see what y'all have to say about this and what your enthusiasm levels are. First off, right off the bat, it's very easy to see the combat screen is much improved in many ways visually and looks far more like the obvious inspiration that you would expect from the classic GBA Fire Emblem games. It's very clean, lots of nice filigree, we've got our little HP bubbles, all of the stats are centered right in the middle bottom of the screen, so it's not distracting from the animations, but still clearly in sight. It's very nice stuff. That said, I do miss some of the more unique style of Dark Deity 1's health potion HP bars and combat window, but I really can't complain about a Fire Emblem GBA style window. It looks phenomenal, and the overall art skills of the team have clearly shot through the roof, and they were already pretty damn good in the first place, so props to them. This looks phenomenal. It's notable as well that in cases where units have greater than the base 40 HP the interface can show, such as what we can see here, additional yellow health bubbles overlap the base green. It's a very elegant solution. It reminds me a lot of things like the original Kingdom Hearts, or even I think some of the latter Kingdom Hearts games, where you would have multiple different layers of different colored HP bars overlapping on a boss's HP, so you can tell, okay, we're making progress through one layer, but there's at least another layer underneath it. That's good stuff, and it allows you to keep the UI from being as cluttered. You're not just stacking 80 HP bubbles on top of each other. It's good stuff. Also, we can see here that the interface updates stats and damage in real time as skills fall in and out of effect, or as crits activate. In this scene here with Benji III, his damage starts at 20, doubles to 40 once his crit triggers, which is the standard 2x damage crits that Dark Deity games just run with, which I like that. It's a nice balance. And then it drops to 15 after that crit hits, implying a skill that gives bonus damage on the first attack, or maybe when an enemy has full health. It's very nice to see in action. We also do still keep special effect pop-ups and weapons being listed on the sides and top of the screen, which I absolutely appreciate. It's very nice to be able to see that type of information in the middle of a battle so you can conceptualize what's happening to make certain things happen. It's one of the critiques that people had early on with Unicorn Overlord, and that they did patch, was that you couldn't really tell what was impacting a fight sometimes. Now you'll actually see when something like an item or a skill is activating that gives you a certain bonus effect, and at least for me, that helps me learn what my units are doing and keep everything straight in my head of what I can change, what's activating when, all that type of good stuff. We can also see from these fights here that there's been the addition of at least a few non-human enemies, which is great. It reminds me very much of the good old days of Sacred Stones. My absolute Sacred Stones loving heart is singing, seeing demon dogs and treants, and I'm going to assume there's going to be all sorts of zombies and all sorts of other fun stuff. It's going to add a lot of variety to gameplay, and I'm excited to see if we're able to use any of those types of enemies, if they're going to be enemy only, and then if they are enemy only, if they have any unique skills that are going to be potentially really punishing. It also seems like we're going to see far more of the game's world this time around. The story of Dark Deity 1 was fairly focused, and we did get to see a decent chunk of the land of the elves and different nations and things like that. but it feels like there's going to be a much greater focus on that here, which is great because you could tell that the devs had a pretty wide range of world-building ideas in their sort of lore bible that they clearly built the game off of. So being able to see them explore that more is going to be a ton of fun. I'm reminded of a comment from Charles during one of his dev diaries, the lead dev of the game, where he was talking about how this story and the characters in Dark Deity 1 are not the characters and story that he would want to ultimately wind up writing, but as a new studio, as a new dev, and as a new, what they were hoping would be a series or franchise, which it seems like it's going to be, you have to start basic and kind of get people in with the easy stuff, and then go into the stories and world that you wanted to do in the first place. So I'm hoping that that's what we're going to be seeing here with Dark Deity 2. Now, this is the big one. Build crafting literally exists. I'm so excited for this. I think this is going to be one of the things that causes a lot of Fire Emblem fans who maybe weren't a big fan of Dark Deity 1 to be more invested in Dark Deity 2, depending on how it is executed on, and it looks like it's going to be executed on pretty dang well. This really is the single biggest point of excitement for me. It's like, yeah, while Dark Deity 1 stood as a fairly simple title, and I do appreciate it for that, because it felt so similar to the GBA Fire Emblem games of my youth that I love so much, that I love to be able to just boot up and play and not have to think super hard or spend a ton of time min-maxing characters between fights. I can just go in, okay, Myrmidon leveled up, cool, okay, someone's close to promoting, awesome, okay, what weapon do I want on this guy, cool, and just go map to map to map to map and just enjoy that gameplay loop. It gets interrupted more in newer Fire Emblem games. We'll see what the balance of it is here with Dark Deity 2, but it is also a ton of fun to spend time crafting your perfect soldiers, so it's going to be interesting to see. DD2 is stepping things up by allowing for weapon modification with runes, the implementation of far more different skills that you can also then seemingly upgrade, material rewards for building bonds with characters when that was a purely story thing in the first game, craftable rings that modify stats, XP gains, grants lifesteal, very Fire Emblem 4 with all of these different rings you're going to be able to put on characters. I'm excited about that. And then, yeah, the ability to actually level your skills to gain bonus effects, such as more range on the skill, or a stronger effect, or a longer duration. This should be such a good step forward for the series, and I can't wait to see how this interacts with the new classes and weapon options, and how people in the community who maybe felt that Dark Deity 1 was a little too simple react to this, because this should really be one of the things that draws people in. Will we be able to do a whole bunch of build a character or a unit this way type of videos when it comes out? I hope so, because I do love doing that type of stuff. It's fun. I like having those types of discussions. This is such a huge deal, and I just hope that it's executed on well, because this could really put DD2 at the top of people's lists. We also see that there's some faction choices, perhaps at critical story moments. Maybe it gives you some sort of like a route split option. It would be a lot of work to implement, but it would be really cool if it was possible. But what's nice is that it grants you various different material rewards, and could also at the very least impact how the story progresses. We can see down at the bottom of each of these different selectable options, there's unlockable side quests that come with that. So I'm imagining maybe on a given playthrough, you choose one route and you get a special recruit from that route, or maybe a powerful item, whereas on a different playthrough, you choose one of the other options and get a different recruit, a different item. That's always fun. I love stuff like that, especially when a game first comes out and people are discussing what routes they took and how that impacted their playthrough. I love stuff like that. It's so cool. So hopefully this is something that we see at least 3 or 4 different times throughout the game. If not, that's fine as well. It's fun just to have a couple of points where you can choose some benefit and get some reward, and maybe have even a minor story impact at worst. But we'll see. We'll see. I have a lot of hope for this one. Finally, of course, something that we've been seeing ever since initial trailers and discussion and new art for Dark Deity 2 has been coming out. The game looks beautiful. Like, DD1 already looked phenomenal. All the character art is so good. The sprite animations have a little roughness here and there, but again, first game, I do not blame them for that at all. I do not hold it against the game at all. It's part of its charm. But the sprite animations were really good, really creative. So many cool classes. All the different elemental mages that all had different effects for all of their spells. And then each level of each new spell, as you leveled up their weapons, having different animations as well. Modifications for crits for every single attack. Unique classes like hammer wielders that are psychics. They throw their hammer and then psychokinetically pull it back to them. There's so much creative stuff going on in the Dark Deity games, and DD2 looks like they're amping that up to 11. There's already so many cool attacks that we've seen with dual-wielding knives, jumping, flying through the air, aerial shot archer attacks, big sweeping swipes with glaives, and just so much cool-looking stuff. I always love to see this type of game in action and see how much fun the art team has had with putting animations together, and it really seems like the Dark Deity devs have pushed it through the roof on this one. I'm imagining some truly crazy stuff. I can't wait to see all the promoted classes, boss attacks. It's going to be an absolute blast. These guys are knocking it out of the park thus far. As far as when it's coming out and what platforms it's going to be on, I'm loosely hearing 2024, but that's like really loose speculation, so maybe we will see it sometime in the next 5-6 months. If not, I would totally be okay with waiting till 2025 or later. Give them all the time that they need to cook. Make this thing awesome, because you guys have so much talent. If any of them wind up watching this, maybe I'm assuming too much, but these devs are so passionate. They're so cool. I want to see them be able to do their best and take as much time as they need with it. Right now, I'm assuming that the game is still only coming to Steam. It did come to Switch, or at least Dark Deity 1 came to Switch later in its lifespan. I don't believe it came to any of the other consoles, but if we're lucky, we will see the same thing happen with Dark Deity 2. Maybe it'll come to all major platforms. We can only hope. At the end of the day, though, if you are someone that was turned off of Dark Deity 1 for one reason or another, the first couple of days were just riddled with bugs. I'm fully aware of that because I was in the Discord helping them bug fix. I sent footage to the devs directly of glitches happening in my game so that they could recreate them and fix them. I was right there on the trenches, I'm aware, but they got that stuff fixed so fast and the game became solid from that point forward. Whether you got turned off of it by bugs, or it just was a little too simplistic for you, or maybe a little too rough around the edges visually, or there were certain gameplay mechanics that weren't quite refined enough for you, understandable, but you need to give this a second shot when Dark Deity 2 comes out. It is so clear that so much learning has happened over the last 3 years since DD1 came out that we need to keep our eyes on this one. I'm absolutely going to be playing it on launch. I'm absolutely planning on covering it after launch. I want to do videos about it. I'm fully expecting to have an absolute blast with it. You should as well. Wishlist this on Steam. I will have it in the description down below. I expect all of you to go check it out if you have even a passing interest in this one. With that said, though, I'm going to wrap this one up here. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.